Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Chapter 1, Sociology and Society. And our topic is Sociology and Political Science. As in the case of economics, there is an increased interaction of methods and approaches between sociology and political science. Conventional political science was focused primarily on two elements: political theory and government administration. Neither branch involves extensive contact with political behavior. The theory part usually focuses on the ideas about government from Plato to Marx, while courses on administration generally deals with the formal structure of government rather than its actual operation. Sociology is devoted to the study of all aspects of society, whereas conventional political science restricted itself mainly to the study of power as embodied in formal organization. Sociology stresses the interrelationships between the sets of institutions, including government, whereas political science tends to turn attention towards the processes within the government. However, sociology long shared similar interests of research with political science. Sociologists like Max Weber worked in what can be termed as the political sociology. The focus of political sociology has been increasingly on the actual study of political behavior. Even in the recent Indian elections, one has seen the extensive study of political patterns of voting. Studies have also been conducted in membership of political organization, process of decision making in organizations, sociological reasons for support of political parties, the role of gender in politics, etc. Now let us discuss sociology and history. Historians almost as a rule study the past. Sociologists are more interested in the contemporary or recent past. Historians earlier were content to delineate the actual events, to establish how things actually happened, while in sociology the focus was to seek to establish causal relationships. History studies concrete details, while the sociologist is more likely to abstract from concrete reality, categorize and generalize. Historians today are equally involved in doing sociological methods and concepts in their analysis. Conventional history has been about the history of kings and wars, the history of less glamorous or exciting events as changes in land relations or gender relations within the family have traditionally been less studied by the historian, but formed the core area of the sociologist's interest. Today, however, history is far more sociological, and social history is the stuff of history. It looks at social patterns, gender relations, mores, customs, and important institutions other than the acts of rulers, wars, and monarchy. Now, let us discuss sociology and psychology. Psychology is often defined as the science of behavior. It involves itself primarily with the individual. It is interested in his or her intelligence and learning, motivations and memory, nervous system and reaction time, hopes and fears. Social psychology, which serves as a bridge between the psychology and sociology, maintains a primary interest in the individual but concerns itself with the way in which the individual behaves in social groups, collectively with other individuals. Sociology attempts to understand behavior as it is organized in society, that is, the way in which personality is shaped by different aspects of society. For instance, economic and political system, their family and kinship structure, their culture, norms, and values. It is interesting to recall that Durkheim, who sought to establish a clear scope and method for sociology in his well-known study of suicide, left out individual intentions of those who commit or try to commit suicide in favor of statistics concerning various social characteristics of these individuals. Now let us discuss sociology and social anthropology. Anthropology in most countries incorporates archaeology, physical anthropology, cultural history, many branches of linguistics, and the study of all aspects of life in simple societies. Our concern is here with social anthropology and cultural anthropology, for it is that which is close to the study of sociology. Sociology is deemed to be the study of modern complex societies, which, while social anthropology was deemed to be the study of simple societies. As we saw earlier, each discipline has its own history or biography. Social anthropology developed in the West at the time when it meant that Western trained social anthropologists studied non European societies, often thought of as exotic, barbaric, and uncivilized. This unequal relationship between those who studied and those who were studied as not remarked upon too often earlier. But times have changed and we have the erstwhile natives, be they Indians or Sudanese, Nagas or Santals, who now speak and write about their own societies. The anthropologists of the past documented the details of the simple societies apparently in the neutral scientific fashion. In practice, they were constantly comparing those societies with the model of Western modern societies as a benchmark. Other changes have also redefined the nature of sociology and social anthropology. Modernity, as we saw, led to a process whereby the smallest village was impacted by global processes. The most obvious example is colonialism. The most remote village in India under British colonialism saw its land laws and administration change, its revenue extraction alter, its manufacturing industries collapse. Contemporary global processes have further accentuated this shrinking of the globe. The assumption of studying a simple society was that it was bounded. We know this is not so today. The traditional study of simple non-literate societies by social anthropology had a pervasive influence on the content and the subject matter of the discipline. Social anthropology tended to study society, simple societies in all their aspects as wholes. Insofar as specialized, it was on the basis of area, as for example the Andaman Islands, the Neurs, or the Malaysia. Sociologists study complex societies and would therefore often focus on parts of society like the bureaucracy or religion or caste or a process such as social mobility. Social anthropology was characterized by a long fieldwork tradition, living in the community, studied and using ethnographic research methods. Sociologists have often relied on survey methods and qualitative data using statistics and the questionnaire mode. Chapter 5 will give you a more comprehensive account of these two traditions. Today, the distinction between a simple society and a complex one itself needs major rethinking. India itself is a complex mix of tradition and modernity, of the village and the city, of caste and tribe, of class and community. Village is nestled right in the heart of the capital city of Delhi. Call centers serve European and American clients from different towns of the country. Indian sociology has been far more eclectic in borrowing from both traditions. Indian sociologists often studied Indian societies that were both part of and not of one's own culture. It could also be dealing with both complex, differentiated societies of urban modern India as well as the study of tribes in a holistic fashion. It had been feared that with the decline of simple societies, social anthropology would lose its specificity and merge with sociology. However, there have been fruitful interchanges between the two disciplines, and today often methods and techniques are drawn from both. There have been anthropological studies of the state and globalization which are very different from the traditional subject matter of the social anthropology. On the other hand, sociology too has been using quantitative and qualitative techniques, macro and micro approaches for studying the complexities of modern societies. As mentioned before, we will, in a sense, carry on this discussion in chapter 5. For in India, sociology and social anthropology have had a very close relationship. Now, let us wind up the session, and we have come to the end of the chapter. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning podcast.